Born on July 15, 1939 in Los Angeles, the city of cinematic dreams, Patrick Wayne grew up in a family where glory was the standard, not the reward. As the second son of the Duke, John Wayne, Patrick was early on ushered into the film industry. But for Patrick, every appearance in front of the camera wasn't the realization of a dream, but a harsh examination, an endless judgment under the shadow of comparison. He appeared in more than 40 films, with notable roles in Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger, McLintock, and The Searchers. But no matter how hard he tried, he was always compared to his father, an unshakable icon of Hollywood. His career resembled a flickering flame beneath the blinding torch of a giant. The Unusual Silence and The First Sign. In the final years of his life, Patrick Wayne abruptly withdrew from public life. No more interviews, no more red carpet appearances, no more nostalgic speeches about the golden days of Hollywood. Only a long, cold silence, as if he were trying to vanish peacefully. But the truth was far more terrifying. In March 2022, Patrick was diagnosed with a rare disease, an autoimmune neurodegenerative disorder still not fully understood by medicine. The illness slowly destroyed his brain and nervous system, causing progressive loss of mobility, speech, and ultimately consciousness. There was no cure, no treatment, only time and a certain end, fighting in silence. Patrick never made his condition public. He didn't want pity. He didn't want to be remembered as a dying man. He battled the illness the same way he had lived, with quiet dignity and immense solitude. For 2 years, he remained in a small house near the beach in Malibu, the only place he felt free, if only in his imagination. Every morning, he wrote in an old notebook, thoughts, unanswerable questions, flashbacks of his father, his mother, the innocent days by the seashore before war colored the world. He documented every spasm, every interrupted sleep disturbed by dull, burning nerve pain crawling along his spine. Until one day, the last line in the notebook consisted of just 2 words, "Forgive me." The mysterious passing. Patrick Wayne passed away on an early spring day, with cherry blossoms blooming outside his window, and the ocean caressing the sand as if nothing had happened. There was no grand funeral, no media frenzy. Only a few close confidants and 2 former co-stars witnessed his final moment. Notably, his body was cremated within 36 hours of his death, an unusually swift process by Hollywood standards. No explanation was provided by his family. An anonymous source revealed that, in his will, Patrick requested that his body be set free before someone calls it a pity. And so the rumors began. Some said he didn't die of illness, but from a self-administered overdose in a moment of despair. Others believed he had known about the disease for years, but his doctors and family had kept it hidden. Still others whispered about a documentary he supposedly filmed about his final days, but it has never surfaced. In the room where Patrick spent his final days stood an old wooden chest by the window, where the evening light always paid a visit. It contained no gold, no movie props, no memorabilia as one might expect of a movie star. Instead, it held nearly 100 handwritten letters. None mailed, none stamped, each addressed in shaky black ink, sometimes firm, sometimes trembling. One was to his late mother. "I miss the smell of morning pastries, and your hand in my hair when Dad was away. I never forgot that feeling. The only one that made me believe I belonged somewhere in this world." Another was to his legendary father. "Dad, did you ever think I wasn't good enough? Or was it me who never believed I deserved the name?" But one letter left readers breathless. On the envelope, "To the one who never knew me." Inside were scattered lines as if written in panic. "If someone is reading this, please tell my life not like a news report, but like a prayer. Say that I loved, even if I was never brave enough to say it. Say that I tried, even if no one saw. And if anyone asks why I'm gone, say that some diseases don't kill with knives or poison, but with silence. The light at the end of the tunnel. They say that when a person faces death, they see their entire life flash before them. But Patrick didn't need that moment. He had already relived his life 1,000 times in his mind, lying motionless at night, unable to sleep, unable to cry. At one point, he wrote in his journal, "If I had a second chance, I'd be a baker in a small town where no one knew who my father was. I'd fall in love with a woman who didn't read the papers, didn't watch movies, just held my hand every evening." But life doesn't let us choose again. Patrick's closest friends shared that in his final 3 months, he only wanted to hear 1950s classical music, instrumental, understated. Music was no longer joy to him, but the last means of communicating with a world he felt exiled from. One day, the housekeeper found him sitting motionless before the stereo, Moonlight Sonata playing on repeat. When she called to him, he smiled faintly and whispered, "Listen. That's the sound of me fading away." Questions that were never answered. After Patrick's death, the public began to ask, how could a man once admired, who once walked the red carpets of Hollywood, disappear so quietly? Why did no one know he was sick? And why did his family choose silence instead of a dignified funeral? A journalist quietly investigated and discovered that Patrick's medical records were encrypted under an alias, as if he wanted to hide both his illness and his identity. No doctor came forward. No final images were released. Some believed Patrick wasn't just running from the spotlight, but from his past and his legacy. Rumors swirled of a secret son, born from a quiet love affair in his youth with an unknown actress. That son, now living in Europe, was reportedly the one who secretly cremated Patrick's body according to his will. No one confirmed. No one denied. And the photo of a mysterious woman, pressed between pages of his notebook, remains forever a question mark. The final will and farewell letter. Patrick left behind a will only 237 words long. Handwritten, not notarized, no lawyers. But each line cut deep. "I don't have much to leave, not wealth, not fame. Only my name, Patrick. Let it rest. Don't fasten it to any monument." In the suicide note tucked beside it, he wrote, "I lived, performed, smiled when I should have cried. I loved roles that weren't mine. And I've been dying a little each day since the first time someone called me John Wayne's son." Legacy and the void Patrick left behind. As the news spread, those who had worked with Patrick began speaking up. An elderly director recalled, "Patrick was the only man I knew who could cry even when no one asked him to, because the sadness in him didn't require acting." An actress who co-starred with him in Beyond Atlantis said, "He wasn't a star. He was the shadow around the light, making the light shine brighter." But no one sees the shadow. Hollywood began to speak of Patrick as a forgotten monument. Yet as newer generations discovered his older films, they noticed something genuine in his eyes. A silent sorrow, a rare vulnerability in a world obsessed with sparkle. Patrick Wayne left no medals or Oscars, no acceptance speeches, no best-selling biography. But he left something no one could take. A quiet question in the hearts of those left behind, about the value of a life bound to a glory it never chose. Patrick Wayne slipped from this world like a solitary traveler. No goodbyes, no fanfare, no grand medals beside his photograph. But it was that very silence, that unadorned, unapologetic exit, that made it impossible to forget him. A life caught between light and shadow, between borrowed fame and unseen pain. Thousands who once watched him on screen now rewatch old films. Not for entertainment, but to search. How much was the performance? And how much was Patrick's real loneliness? Every uneasy glance, every forced smile, every faraway stare now seems like a muted distress signal, missed by all while he lived. Perhaps Patrick was never meant to be any heir to any legend. He was just a man who longed for a quiet life, for love that didn't require proof, and who feared being forgotten before ever being truly seen. His death, with all its mystery, silence, and sorrow, didn't erase him from memory. On the contrary, it made him a new kind of icon, one for all those hidden behind the velvet curtains of fame, those still living, still breathing, but never truly seen in their pain. Now, Patrick Wayne is no longer John Wayne's son. He is simply Patrick, an unfinished story, an unhealed wound, a lonely soul that has finally found rest. And perhaps that, more than anything, is what makes his silent, Haunting death, the saddest final chapter in Hollywood's unwritten novel. But the strangest part has never been explained. Why did Patrick Wayne request cremation within 36 hours, and why did no one, not a single family member, friend, or colleague, speak publicly after his death? Some rumors claim that a video, filmed by Patrick himself during his final days, is hidden somewhere in the Malibu house. A video no one has seen. No one knows if it even exists, but it was mentioned in the last letter police discovered. Do not open it unless you truly want to know who I am. That video, if it's real, might be a confession or a mirror reflecting the industry that swallowed Patrick whole. Or perhaps it's the final secret he took to the grave so that no one could ever truly define who he was. Patrick Wayne, a man who belonged neither to the light nor to the darkness, and refused to die in either.